Hey, it is Sunday night here live, and we are with a fantastic author, someone who has a ton of passion, someone who's a huge overcomer. You're going to find out more about that, but let me give a warm welcome to Teresa Alesch. How you doing?
I am good. Thanks, Kary. Very excited
Yeah.
to be here.
Well, listen, where are you from, first of all?
I am from Northwest Iowa, Emmitsburg, Iowa.
Iowa. I love it. And you are an educator, you are an author, you are a, dare I say, even cancer survivor.
Yes, that is true.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, listen, we're going to get into that story here, but we have some fantastic people jumping in, and more will hop in as we go. We have Jennifer. Anybody who's watching, go ahead and type in where you're from. That would be awesome. And then if you can, go ahead and share this, because here's what's going to happen tonight. Teresa's going to talk about how she literally got into a place of brokenness. Is this fair to say that life kind of broke you, but you chose to punch back? Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump right into your story. And as people, Anna, Rowena from Canada, great. Go ahead, type in where you guys are from. And then if you can share it, that would be fantastic. We'll get a big party here going on. But first of all, what happens when you hear that diagnosis? You've got cancer. I mean, what goes through your head?
Hmm. I think it's different for everyone, and maybe it's not. But for me, it's like life stops all at once. Time slows, and you just kind of have that moment of I hate to say outer body, but it's like I was outside of myself, kind of looking down, thinking, okay, is this real? Is this?
Wow.
And so it's almost it's a surreal experience.
I bet. And I mean, you are a wife, you are a mother. So this isn't just, hey, if I don't make it, you know, no one's going to depend on me, even though that's not true for anybody. But you have little ones that literally you had to think about. How old are your kids?
They are now 11 and 9.
11 and 9. I got two of those myself, 11 and 9-year olds. So, and add a 13-year-old. But wow, so you have this happen, and what was your vocation at this time? What were you doing?
I was finishing a second master's or a graduate program to become a school principal, and I was actually in process of transitioning into that role. Um,
Wow.
I was a dean of students when I got the phone call. Um,
Dean of students,
mhm,
working on your master's degree, moving into a principal role, mom,
mhm.
wife, and you get this diagnosis that you have cancer. Did you think at all at that point or prior to that point that you'd ever be an author, or was this post diagnosis?
It was definitely post diagnosis. Before a principal, I was an English teacher and a teacher librarian along that path to administration, but never considered being a writer. I
Yeah.
wrote about education and was very comfortable in that medium, but um, it wasn't until 3 years after my cancer diagnosis and a number of tragedies and traumas that happened in those 3 years that sort of led me to that moment of it was actually a therapist, which I'm finally comfortable saying, but a therapist who challenged me to write. And
Mm.
that was when broken really happened because it released the floodgates, it released the pain, and I found out why I had stopped writing. Which during my diagnosis, I wrote. I guess I my students created a Facebook page for me, and I had Bridge, and I wrote to update and journal along the way. And
'Cause,
so
I mean, did they think this was the end? I mean, it was a severe case.
it was scary. It was stage 3. It was fairly advanced or aggressive. It was in the lymph nodes, and so they had to get to work quickly, and I had to go through some pretty intense chemotherapy, a double mastectomy, radiation. When I was having my double mastectomy, my dad was in the same hospital, being diagnosed with a non-Hodgkin's stage 4 lymphoma.
Wow.
And when I was done with all that and kind of graduated the radiation, it's almost a graduation from cancer treatment. I was in pain again in my abdomen, and we found giant tumors in my ovaries, one the size of a grapefruit. And so I had to have emergency hysterectomy, which I don't know. I say it led me to crazy because it threw me into menopause and hot flashes. And then 1 year from diagnosis, I lost someone very special to me to a massive heart attack, my Uncle Joe. And so that kind of that was that year, and it was a lot. There was a lot of worry, I would say. I had a ton of support, people encouraging me, so I never quite felt anything.
Yeah.
And writing was my coping method. And when my uncle died, I stopped writing.
Mm.
My therapist, when he asked me to start writing again, I didn't even realize why I had stopped, but it was because my uncle wasn't there anymore to read that writing. And so he challenged me. He said, write about something else. And the next thing I knew, I started a fiction book, and soon enough, I came along the path to finding you.
Hold that book up. Do you got that book by you?
I do.
Awesome. So Broken to Brave, you have boxing gloves that are in the shape of the cancer ribbon.
Yes. Yep.
And it's got your silhouette in the background, and it says Finding Freedom from the Unlived Life. Wow. Love it. Tell us what that means.
So there is one more piece of my puzzle here that I didn't mention yet, but 3 years after diagnosis, what led me to the therapy was a kind of a close encounter with suicide, too close for comfort. And so that unlived life has a lot of meaning. If we're not living in the present, if we're not experiencing the moment, then we're either regretting the past or we're anxious and worried about the future. And so not only is that an unlived life, but I was finding freedom from that suicidal ideation that continues sometimes, I will say, to plague me, just to kind of like, oh my gosh, it's just how much more can I take? That sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And so, so it's the boxing gloves, the unlived life, breaking free from all that to live in the moment is what that's about.
Well, listen, Teresa, I think that your story is going to encourage a lot of people, because a lot of people feel like if they're going to write a book, they have to have arrived. I mean, they got to have it all figured out, because, oh my gosh, if I get on TV or radio, or if I get on a stage and speak, it's kind of like a book can be almost a spotlight. And they feel like and I've seen this happen. By the way, I've seen this happen with men. I'm just going to hit the men up. Listen, I know the guys are getting thrown under the bus a lot in our society today, but I'm just going to be real with you. I know right now 3 men that have told me they want to be published, or they've written a book and it's sitting there, but they won't publish it. And I'm convinced that the only reason is because these guys feel that if they publish the book, then might come the criticism, critique, questions. Do you feel like that's a reason why a lot of people don't write a book?
Absolutely. And that was a huge thing for me, which I think at some point you helped me over that hurdle. But I was so afraid of that stigma with my particular story. And everybody has something that either it's not that they're hiding, but that they're afraid to reveal about themselves.
Yeah.
And that reveal is what makes them who they are, and is what helps other people through their story. And so, absolutely, people are afraid to put that out there, and that fear is it's sometimes unsurmountable. Yeah.
Listen, the first 3 books I wrote, I hid behind theological topics to write about, and I dare not put any of my story in there because I wanted to express myself through writing, but I didn't want the the people knowing. And yet, I think, Teresa, you would agree, a lot of us want to change the world, and for noble reasons. We look out from social media, and we look at the world and we say, what's going on? The world needs help. How can I help them? And I believe one of the best ways you can help people is through a book. How have you seen a book take your impact to the next level? Have you ever gotten a letter that says, Teresa, you don't know me, but I read your book and this part inspired me, or this part kept me going when I was ready to give up? Have you gotten any of that stuff yet?
Absolutely. And that's what has proven me wrong, that, I was afraid that people would think I'm not able to be a leader anymore. And some of the messages I have gotten are from other like school administrators, other women who are in that sort of a career where they gotta appear to have it together. And so I've gotten message like asking me more about that work-life balance and telling me that it's inspired them to tell about themselves when they've really kind of worn a mask and hidden who they are around people because they're afraid it's going to be a weakness for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, if you guys are watching this, I know we got some great viewers on. People are posting in. We got Arkansas, we got New York, we got Arizona, we have Canada, we have Tennessee, lots of people, Columbus. Go ahead, type in where you're from. And then, guys, if you can do us a big favor, share this. Tag somebody who needs hope and encouragement. Here, Teresa says, double mastectomy, hysterectomy, suicidal tendencies at one point in her life, still is open enough to say, hey, once in a while I get bummed, mom, daughter, wife. And here she is saying that I want to help people. Your website is amazing. Why do you talk about this battle? What is it? What do you think? Do you think people have some battle that they're in? Talk about that.
Absolutely. I think we all have some sort of battle in our lives. And I know that there's been people who have come to me and said, I've not experienced half of what you've experienced, but, downplaying that is what I always try to stop people from doing, because we all have whatever that adversity is in our lifetime that is intending it. We're supposed to learn something about ourselves in that process. And I think that pain point leads us to who we're supposed to help and how we're supposed to serve. And so, yeah, I think everybody gets that battle that's intended for them. And hopefully it leads them to finding who they are and allowing that person to come out and allowing that person to be who they were born to be, which is really kind of where my website is supposed to take people.
Yeah. So I hear you saying that people are in a battle, and that battle is not something we should run from or hide. But as we enter into the ring, like your book has with those cancer gloves with pink gloves on it, but you are a fighter. And as you enter the ring, and as you really acknowledge the battle, embrace the battle, that's when your purpose came. That's when life made sense. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that's when the purpose came. Will you rephrase that question just a little bit?
Yeah. So basically, I see a lot of people online, in person, that are hiding. I mean, that was me for years. I was a cutter. I struggled with depression. I had a stuttering issue, and here I am now, a nonprofit leader, a pastor, supposed to have it all together. And this was back in my early 20s, but there was this imposter thing going on.
Yes.
Why do you think when we take off the mask, even in our messy, broken selves, why do you think that that's our moment of freedom or breakthrough? Why, like, how does that happen?
I think that when we finally acknowledge that we are all imperfect human beings, then we allow ourselves again to be who that person that we're designed to be,
Yeah.
without apology. And I've spent a lot of my life apologizing because I don't know. In my book, it talks about ADD, ADHD, and I have to stop using that as a crutch. But that's part of the journey in my book too. Is kind of that excuse or that wearing that mask and just trying to outsmart it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's really not settling for mediocrity and not just living and going through the motions, but enjoying what you have and what you can do with what you're given, that talent.
I love it.
That you have talent. I mean, so many of us downplay that as well.
Yeah. It's like we're uncomfortable with our greatness, and everybody has greatness, and we're scared to let it show sometimes. But I think you're right. When we begin to be authentic, people can sense that. Let's talk a little bit about when Author Academy Elite came to you, because here you are now. Give us kind of the timeline. What year was all this when you had this Uncle Joe passing, this mastectomy, doubles, all this stuff happening? And then what year was that?
All right. Oh boy, you're challenging me. So the diagnosis was in 2011.
Okay.
March-ish. And that year took me to basically the following, right around diagnosis time, losing my uncle. So we're in 2012. And then there were a couple years of just being numb and just being that school principal, trying to do everything I could to be the superhero for people, and not realizing that I was hurting myself in the process because I would not let myself feel.
Okay.
So it was a couple years after that when I found myself at that moment of, I gotta go. I'm a horrible mom, a horrible principal, a horrible daughter, friend, sister. I mean, it's just, I could not find one positive thing to think or say about myself. And that led to that, I don't know what you call it. It was a partial attempt. And I kind of woke up from it. And so from there, I had a serious journey of just looking at myself and reflecting and trying to figure out how I was going to overcome this and how I was going to live out a life and be the role model that everybody thought I was. And so that led me to that therapist who was really trying to, and he was more of a career therapist because I was not going to admit I had a problem. I was not going to admit I had some sort of depression.
Right.
So he really helped me through that process. And I went home that night. That night, he made me realize I needed to start writing again. A fiction story came to me. It was when the Avenger movies came out.
Okay.
That first one, and I love those movies. And I could relate to Black Widow because I felt like I was good at wearing a mask. And that's what she does. She's able to just mask herself. And I went to bed that night, and all of a sudden I was like, I can't sleep. I've got this story in my head. And I wrote for probably 24 to 48 hours, almost straight, and almost completed a fiction story. I've got, it's 3/4 of the way done. I've had to put it on hold, but and I don't know what happened or how, but somehow Author Academy Elite started showing up in my Facebook.
That's crazy. What year was this?
Oh, let's see. Was it 2015?
Okay. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, that would be. This will be my 4th year for Igniting Souls Conference.
Wow.
But yeah,
and by the way, I remember this because you were the only interviewer, because back then I used to interview everybody because we were a small company. And I remember you were the one who said, I want to do video. So I was like, I had only done for 2 years until that point, I had only done phone call interviews. And you're like, I want to do video. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And I was sitting right over there. And I remember. Do you remember that first time?
I do. I wanted to see your eyes. And I don't know if it had something to do with maybe I needed you to see my eyes, when I try to look back at everything. But yeah, and it was such an important decision for me. I thought, I really want to see this guy.
Yeah.
It was creepy how it appeared in my Facebook because I don't believe I was doing any searching.
Okay.
So I don't know if maybe in my research of writing my story, Facebook's like, hey, you need to hook up with
Right. So here you are overcoming a major depression. You are with a therapist. The therapist says to start writing again. You have this wake up, crank out this fiction 3/4 of the way. I believe writing's therapy. So, some of that writing was you processing some of your pain, some of your masks. I mean, this is true for me over the years. Writing was my lifeline. Then you, for some reason, find the Author Academy Elite webinar that we do a few times a year. You listen. Now, did you listen to the webinar then?
Yep, I signed up for the webinar.
Okay. What did you think when you heard it? Because some people right now, they don't realize this, but right now, We've opened the doors until tonight. Tonight is the last night for the replay to be up, and then it goes away. And so people are literally, not by accident, hearing us tonight. I don't know how it happened, but you jumped on the webinar. What'd you think when you started hearing all this stuff?
I still have my notes from that webinar, but really, it became very clear to me the path, and what I remember about the webinar is the story I had written is very much, you're right, it was processing my pain, and it allowed me to find freedom through this character. And my goal with that fiction book is also to help people heal. And so that book will get out, and it's coming. But in that webinar, I remember something to the effect of you helping me to know and believe in myself, that there's a reason that story was on my heart. And so it just, I connected it instantly, and the steps were much more simple than I had ever imagined. And I just thought, okay, I can do this. So that webinar, just, I knew I could do it. And there was no question in my mind once I submitted my information.
I got it. So listen, some people right now are literally in your shoes where they're like, oh my gosh, this is real. This could be real. I could submit an application. Now, back then we only used to take 25 people when we would open a class. Now we've grown. We've hired more people. I'm still the coach. I still help everybody. I'm still the publisher. But now we take 50. You also know that there's a group called the 5-Day Challenge that has over 20,000 people that have said, hey, I want to be considered. So we have to pick 50 out of 20,000 people. It's 0.25%. But the point is this, Teresa, what would you tell someone who right now feels like, I'm not watching this by accident? Oh, by the way, I appreciate how you've taken your pain and used it to help others. You've made good come from the bad. Very brave. I mean, see, you're already encouraging people. And this is, I mean, you are a speaker now. You've connected with 3 other ladies, and you now are traveling and speaking together. You have coaching groups. I mean, you're still an educator, which is awesome. But you have this ministry business that has exploded and is just on the up and up. What would you tell someone who right now feels like, Teresa's so brave, I'm still wearing my masks, I'm not perfect, I don't know if I should apply? What would you tell someone?
I would go back to everyone has a battle, and you get the one you need. And
what does that mean? I saw that on your website. That that hit me. Everyone has a battle. You get the one you need. Some people might be offended by that, and I don't mind, by the way. Yeah. But what does that mean?
It means that whatever adversity comes our way, it's as though that there's something that's just waiting to be uncovered for us, that's going to lead us to a more fulfilling life, that's going to lead us from that mediocrity or that routine that doesn't allow us to be present in that moment. And it's really about personal growth and just being you and accepting you. And and some battles are small. Some people, like I said before, some people don't feel like they've had anything significant in their life. But it could be something as simple as getting pulled over by a police officer and realizing that, you could be a better person safer person on the road. And it's kind of whatever you want to take from your battles.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think sometimes we think when we watch Oprah or something like that, we think, wow, these people, born without arms and legs and crawled up mountains. I mean, I've read some stories like that, but it's the story like, hey, I had a stuttering issue as a child and was called learning disabled, and just said, I'm not gonna talk anymore. And instead I'm gonna bite myself to communicate pain, and that fell into an addiction of self-injury. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, these things that seem so unremarkable. I mean, maybe this is the message tonight. someone's watching this and they're thinking their life's pretty unremarkable. And I'm here to say Teresa is crazy remarkable. I remember when you stood up on the stage at the Igniting Souls conference, because that's part of it. Part of it is, can you hold your book up again one more time? Part of it is not only do we publish you, I love it. I love it. Just put that right in there and then flip it over too. Yes. Let's see the back cover too. I love it. It's fantastic. So not only did you put that into a book, and you've gotten now to speak on stages.
Journal.
You got a standing ovation. What is that? Tell us what that is.
It's just a little journal to go along with. It says my B2B, my Broken to Brave Time journey. And then you're the brave author, so you write your name in there.
I love it.
And then it's blank pages for the most part, but it's
but it's for them to capture their battle.
Yes. Yep.
Listen, you took one step, and that's what it's about. It's about taking the first step. So you were on a webinar, you took the first step and applied. Then we saw something special in you because we said, you know what, out of all these thousands of applications, we're going to schedule an interview with you. You pushed back on me and said, you better get on video, young man or old man, whatever. So I got on video. I remember your fire. I remember your passion. We invited you in. You got on the 52 mini missions. We break it all down into 52 mini missions, step by step by step. We have author calls every week. You don't need to be on if you're super busy, but you are on them. We record every single one. And how are those calls helpful for you? Do you think you could have done it alone?
No. Those calls were huge because every single question that another person has, and I'm one of those who actually, it's like in some conferences, I might find myself saying, oh my gosh, please don't ask another question. But in a particular setting, every question that was asked, I could relate to where I was at with my book. And there would be things where I thought I was set on, and somebody would ask a really good question, and I'd go back and shift some things up. As a matter of fact, I think that's how I came up with my chapter titles. And that was one of the positive feedback points that you gave me was you just said I was really good at writing up those titles, and it was something that stuck with me.
Can you read a couple? Read some of those.
You got it.
And by the way, I love what IO is doing. If I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I love what Hopeland's doing. What they're doing is they're tagging friends that they think need to hear about Teresa's story, need to hear about her book. I'm going to post your book link right in the Facebook feed. But also, here's what's cool: they're linking and tagging people that they think their friend could write a book.
That's awesome.
Because that's what we need. Isn't that what we need sometimes? We talk at Starbucks or we talk with our friends and we're like, you know, I've been thinking about writing, or maybe I should write a book. And sometimes we need that friend along to tag us on a live feed and say, you have what it takes, apply. And I know we're only open for applications for 4 more hours or something like that. Crazy. My time zones, sometimes I get time zones wrong. But let's talk about that. Read some of your chapter titles because I think they are really encouraging.
So my book is broken into parts. And so like part 1's broken yet calm. Part 2, between blind and confident. Part 3, bound with conviction. Part 4, beaten and broken but constant. And then 5, to be brave and courageous. And within each part, then I sometimes ask questions, but it was always kind of the setup. That dreaded phone call. Am I going to prison? Death, the perfect frame up. Life before prison. From chemo to who am I?
Wow.
Cancer robbed me, yet I was the one with the sentence. And that's kind of through the whole thing. I would kind of give a little sneak peek, but then sort of a question of what I was trying to work through in that chapter.
Fantastic. Hey, look at Io is awesome. She's tagging Amelin and Hopeland saying everybody needs to write a book. Tissy, Emlyn, she's tearing it up. So I love this, but here's the point. 82% of the population feel that they should write a book. I mean, they literally feel it. And I would tell people, I don't think that's by accident. Teresa, you know, if you were to die today, you know, heaven forbid, or if I were to die today, what would go on is these books that I wrote. I mean, you know, we fade, but our words don't. And when you write a book, there's nothing more powerful than telling your future generations or nieces or nephews or whoever what your thoughts were. And, you know, it's not the same as something like a video. Videos are cool, but we kind of lose them. You know, a book is something that, I mean, it's around for forever. We have books that have been written thousands of years ago. So, well, you were going to say something. Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, you made me think of something when you were talking about sort of that legacy. But for me, my kids were young, and I believe that my journey or my cancer battle definitely, it put some scars on them that we're still, I think, working through as a family, because I distanced myself and I didn't even know it. And this will one day help them to understand what was going through mom's head. And what led mom
That's true.
on that road. And I think so many of us have that. And I was going to say something earlier that I just thought of too. You know, for those people that are on the fence, I think that this program, you know, Author Academy Elite, I think it attracts, however Facebook works or however people find it, whether it's referrals, but it attracts a certain type of person. And I think most of us that are attracted or here today are just dying to get a message out and dying to help somebody. And maybe it's not that we're helping somebody, but we just have a story that we want to tell that's going to inspire or entertain or whatever that is. But I think that you're here because of something special inside of you. And that's really what kind of led me, or you helped me to bring out, is that something, that little something special that I needed to get out to make my journey complete, as far as going from broken to brave and acknowledging that battle and just appreciating the present and letting go of the past, getting out of the future, being right here.
I get it, man. Listen, so many times we're living like in our past, or we're thinking about the future, and we fail to be present. Hopeland, again, man, she's a trooper. She's tagging people that she thinks need to see this. Maybe because they're a cancer survivor like you, maybe because they've struggled with depression, maybe they just have a story and they need to tell it. Teresa, this is true about you, and I know we only have a few more minutes, but I literally don't recognize the same woman that I met in 2015. I mean, we met this way through video, and then came to the Igniting Souls conference, which, by the way, I am going to share a link. But the team just told me that today we're down to 5 tickets left. But yeah, tell people, you've been there. This is going to be your 4th year. Tell people what to expect. And I know we're not even talking about the Igniting Souls conference, but maybe someone watching, you know, next month, October 26th through the 28th, they need to be there. But why do you keep coming back?
Because, oh gosh, how do I answer that one, Kary? I mean, it's everyone. It's the people who attend. It's obviously what you're offering there, and just the learning along the way. I mean, every time I go, I come back with something that makes my life fuller and more complete. And I think more recently, I picked up some good tips on even speaking and how to align myself. And I've been kind of getting some speaking opportunities organically, but it had to do with some of the pointers I picked up at the conference. And
awesome.
I mean, just the friendships. I can't believe how many friends I've gained. And
you found like 3 speaking partners, and you guys went on tour together. That's pretty crazy.
Yep. And I've never considered myself a friend person, but like this is different. It's you get to it. They're my people.
Yes.
Real people that we meet at the Igniting Souls conference, we find are our people. I don't know if we're all just a little bit off or what, but we're all a great group.
We could just be a little bit off. Listen, if the population in general is plugged into the matrix, then I think it's pretty good to be a little bit off. But
it's probably not helping you, is it?
No, listen, I think that I think today we need to be off. Seriously. I mean, you look at what's going on in the world today, and you say that if that's normal, look, I want to be a soul on fire, and everybody who shows up at that conference is a soul on fire, or they're in process.
Yes.
but it's for entrepreneurs, it's for authors, coaches, speakers. It's for people who want to make a difference in the world. What I love about it is it's not hypey. We're not like dancing in the aisles and, rub the person's back next to you or, crazy stuff. I mean, this is like, let's get down to business so we can start changing the world. And Laura says she gets skills. She can hardly wait to meet you, Teresa, at the conference.
Laura.
Yeah, and Laura's one of our authors, Unipreneur. Brenda's one of our authors. What is it about the butter tubs?
Yeah.
Right? Save the butter tubs. That type of thing. But the point is this, folks, you're here for a reason tonight. You're watching this because I believe that you have a story inside you. I just want to encourage you, take the first step. The first step is to apply. And I'm going to put the link one more time. But we literally, go to the page. You can see the timer expires. And there is no cost to apply. This is like, hey, do we think you're a good fit? Do you think we're a good fit for you? You're testing us. And if so, then we, schedule a chat and we talk about all the details and see. And what did your husband think when you said, hey, and we got like 3 more minutes left here. What did your husband think when you said, hey, it's Cody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cody, I think I'm going to write a book. I think I'm going to tell my story. What did he think? I think I met your parents at the conference. I shook their hands and just they were great people. What did your family say when you said, I'm going to put this in writing?
Oh boy. I think they probably in some level always saw it coming. I think more people saw that about me than I did. Okay. And for some of my story, that's how I told my story. I was afraid to have those conversations. It was not that I was worried about their reaction. It was just something I couldn't talk about.
Sure.
And my book was how I did that. And I think it allowed them to connect with me in a way that they could have never connected with me before. And then the conference, they had a blast at the conference. They enjoyed, and they're not on that path.
People, yeah.
I am there, but they absolutely loved being there. There was an energy about it that they agreed with me. That's just in that room.
Awesome. Well, listen, Teresa, you are broken to brave, literally. You are the embodiment of that. It's been amazing to see your journey of growth. Go to her website. I'm going to share her website again. It's just a powerful website. I'm there right now. It says book, podcast, services, blog. You got so much stuff there, tools, helps for men, for women. I know you do some coaching. Oh, Cody says, be careful with this answer. I like Cody anyway because Cody's a wrestler and he's a wrestling coach.
Yep.
And I was a wrestler, and that's a connection Cody and I have together. Didn't he even get to meet Kyle Snyder at the he met the #1 wrestler in the world. That's just the people we bring. We bring some crazy cool people. This year we're going to have people on social media, podcasting, YouTube celebrities. Everybody is there to help you clarify your message. Because there's a lot of people that say, I don't even know what my message is. And that's okay. They say, I know I'm supposed to write a book, but I have no clue what it even is. So there's those people. But then there's the people who say, but now how do I take it to the next level? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Teresa, last words I'll give to you. What would you say to someone who's sitting here, just found us, they're just watching live, and they're saying, you know what? I can never be like Teresa. Listen. She might have gone through tragedies and trauma, but there's no way I could ever be like her. What would you say to someone who's on the fence and scared?
First, I would say you are your best you, and that is who you need to aim to be. And that personal growth occurs in all circumstances. And somebody's waiting for your story or your message, and they need your story. They need your message. And that's what I keep learning. And I guess I forgot to mention too, Kary, in October, I'm speaking at a cancer walk, and they said expect 450 to 500 people. And that's when I thought, oh my goodness, like that'll be the biggest audience I've spoken to. And I'm going to be there because somebody needs to hear my message.
Right.
And so I don't know, what all of your messages out there tonight, but know that there's people waiting for you. And so I think I wish I had chosen to explore that option sooner, because I think I could have helped a lot more people in my particular situation.
I love it. Hold up that book one more time right in front of your face. Just it's a beautiful book, Broken to Brave. I love the subtitle. It says Finding Freedom from the Unlived Life. And that's what we're talking about. There's so many people today who are living the unlived life, and your book's going to help them get freedom to get unstuck. So teresaalesch.com, her book is in the links below on Amazon as well. And I'm going to just remind people, like the replay for Author Academy Elite, I'm sorry, but we can only pick 50 people. And we've already picked well over half. And class starts Thursday, so you can still apply. We've rejected a lot of great ones. We can't choose everybody, but we are looking for the people who we think we can open a lot of doors for. So thanks so much, Teresa. You did awesome tonight. Again, you were brave, and you have a great family and a great business. And so thanks for all you're doing.
Well, thank you. I do. I have an awesome support system, and it's been an honor. Thank you so much, Kary.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Tag somebody or share this with someone who needs it. We'll see you.